What types of fasting do we see in the scriptures? And how can we apply these to our lives so that when we fast, we can be sure that we're fasting biblically? I'd like to suggest that we see 8 different ways of fasting in the Bible. The first 2 are from diet or distractions. Perhaps it's just me that associates the words fast and food together all too easily. But even spiritually, whenever we think about fasting, we can instantly imagine abstaining from food. However, there are other times when it's not the diet that takes a hit, but distractions. In both the Old and New Testament, there are examples of couples mutually agreeing to abstain from sex for a period of time in order to sacrifice that pleasure and focus more fully on prayer together. There may be good reasons, age, health, or other personal circumstances, why fasting from food would be unwise for us in this particular season. So what other distractions might we think about fasting from in order to give us more time, space, and focus on God? The next 2 ways we can fast are either in response or in rhythm. Sometimes fasting is a response to something. There are so many examples in scripture of people fasting in response to a particular crisis or challenge or need, when deliverance or direction or healing or empowerment are needed. The urgency of those situations seems to call for a radical and sacrificial response. However, of one church we simply read that they were worshipping and fasting, and we're not given any hint as to any cause to do so. It simply seems to be part of their rhythm. I've had friends who've had a monthly or even weekly rhythm of fasting in their lives, and the resulting spiritual health has been clear to see. The next 2 ways we can fast are a full fast or a partial fast. It's true to say that fasting usually refers to abstaining from food and drink, and just drinking water for a day or more at a time. But in the scriptures, we also have examples of people who fast from certain types of food. Famously, there's the Daniel fast, where he expressed his grief through not eating any choice foods or drinking any wine. It may be that we feel called to a full fast, or that we might feel, for all kinds of reasons, that we're able to partake in a partial fast, where we simply sacrifice one meal, for example, or a type of food, in order to create that space, time, and focus for prayer. And then finally, we can fast individually or in community. We often get a bit confused in those seasons when God's people are called to prayer and fasting corporately, because Jesus' teaching in the Sermon on the Mount commands secrecy about the spiritual practice of fasting. However, Jesus' teaching about how we fast is really getting to the heart of why we fast. If, as an individual, fasting is a way of appearing more spiritual in front of others, Jesus tells us that is all we'll ever get out of it. But there are clear times in both the Old and New Testament when God's people fast and pray together, and that is just as valid and precious and powerful so long as our motives for doing it remain centered fully on God. So don't be put off by the idea of fasting. As we've seen, there are many ways in which we can engage in this healthy habit, whether it's diet or distractions, in response or in rhythm, full or partial, individually or in community. The time, space, and focus can add a powerful dimension to our prayer lives and our relationship with God.